The Pope is haxed. That's right, my friends, the Pope is cheating. He's basically using a game genie to give himself the ultimate weapon. A weapon which actually has the ability to become any of the 4 holy weapons of this weird isekai world. I'm gonna go ahead and throw down a big spoiler warning for this episode if you haven't checked it out. There are some pretty big surprises in this episode, but ultimately it serves as a setup to a big final battle with the Pope himself. So this episode was really interesting as we finally got to see Naofumi teaming up with Motoyasu. And not only that, but of course, we got the return of Ren and Itsuki. Of course, there was no way that these characters were going to be dead. We didn't see any bodies. We didn't get any official confirmations. They somehow managed to escape thanks to the Queen's aides. Those very sexy shadow ladies who apparently managed to help them out and get them to this battlefield just in time. But most of this episode was dedicated to the characters getting over their differences, Naofumi calling the other characters out for all of their bullshit, and of course the Pope showing off his brand new weapon, which was teased at the end of the last episode, which is essentially a giant sword which can transform into every weapon that the 4 heroes can use. It's a little overpowered, and he has practically an unlimited mana source to actually use this. That's because all of the brain-dead followers of this church are actually giving all of their mana to the Pope in order to allow him to attack all of these heroes. Of course, it does take a lot of time to actually use these abilities, as well as to keep a barrier around all of these heroes at the same time. Then we have the big moment of the episode. The thing that I think is the biggest takeaway here is Naofumi basically calling out all of the heroes on all of the things that they've been doing, with Motoyasu being manipulated by mine, Ren and Itsuki thinking that they're saving the day and helping all of these villages around this world, but ultimately just making things a lot worse for them. Basically, he just calls them out in the best way possible, and it's all just perfectly punctuated by the fact that Philo always reminds us that Motoyasu is a stupid and annoying character. Yet, even after all of this, after all of the bitching and calling out their bullshit, they manage to actually stand together and prepare to fight, but not before the Pope can actually trap them in a massive glowing mana cathedral, which is presumably going to blast them with some sort of big attack. Basically, this episode is building up to the fact that these heroes are finally going to get over their bullshit, they're going to work together, and they're going to defeat this enemy, as well as the fact that the Queen is going to be making her appearance soon. And the implication, of course, is that she's very powerful, and maybe we'll get to see something really cool from her, but this is a big moment for Naofumi as he's finally able to get over his hatred of all of these douchebags, and he's actually going to work together with them. And of course, over the fear that Vittoria, the Chicken Queen, is just going to end up killing them all, so you gotta be careful. KFC is pissed off. So, what's the rundown on this episode of The Rising of the Shield Hero? A glorified build-up episode, which in some senses kind of deflated me. I was kind of excited to see what this next big battle was going to be, but it was really great to see Ren and Itsuki actually finally return, and what I love about their characters when compared to Motoyasu is that they are a lot more understanding. They're not as dense or stupid as Motoyasu, and they're actually willing to work along with the other hero. That alone makes them immediately likable. That, and I have to say, I did love their entrance, especially with the sword hero using his ability to fire blades at the Pope. That was really awesome. It really shows that if they all attack kind of like at the same time, they can probably take this guy down, but this big mystical weapon is really ridiculous and crazy, and I do love the overall design of it. But for the most part, like I said, this was just kind of a build-up episode, but I'm really excited to see where ultimately it's all going to be headed. It is worth noting, too, that the animation in this episode was actually pretty good for the series, so I gotta give it another thumbs up for that. Overall, I liked this episode, which is why I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. You guys should definitely check out this episode, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. What did you think about the big battle against the Pope, the return of Itsuki and Ren, and what do you hope to see from all of the characters actually teaming up? Do you want to see them do like some big combination attack, working together? How are they going to take down the Pope and all of his followers, and what do you want to see from the end of this very exciting arc? Let's get a discussion going about it in the comment section below. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.